Hi folks, I'm Jan Martin and I'm married to Dave, and we're planning a church in Officer. Now Officer is a developing suburb in the southeastern outer fringe of Melbourne. We moved here in the start of 2018 and we did our public launch in September of that year, and so we've been at this work now this is our third year. One of the things I love about being a pastor's wife is the freedom I have to be involved in the ministries that I'm passionate about. So I love ministering to women, both in groups and individually, and I also love hanging out with preschoolers at our creche and in our playgroup. Our church owns 10 acres here, which has a house and a shed, and we live in the house. When we started the church, we actually couldn't find a public place where we could meet. So we started meeting in the house, and when we outgrew that, we fixed up the shed and started meeting in the shed. And that's where we are right now. So this is actually one of the costs that I've felt as we do this church plant. We have a lot of ministry things happening in the house. My husband Dave is very extroverted and I'm not. So we've had to work out together what we can cope with and how to manage it. And sometimes the boundaries get really blurry, and sometimes I just get over having people here, although not at the moment during COVID-19. I'm actually missing having people here. But I'm also encouraged through this in how God uses the property, the house and the shed and everything. It's been such a blessing in many ways to us, to the church and to the wider community. Our playgroup, for example, is known as the farm playgroup, and the kids get to come along and feed the calves and feed the chooks and collect the eggs, and they love that. And the kids from church love all that as well. Another cost is that when we moved here from Geelong, we left two of our sons in Geelong, and I miss being close to them, and I especially miss being close to my two Geelong grandchildren. But it's only 2 hours away and we can get back and visit when we're allowed to. But a blessing too is that our other son we're now closer to, and we can visit him much more easily. So I got started on this gospel work pathway while I was studying at university. I was blessed with great Bible teaching at uni and at church as well, and I was given many opportunities to learn about ministry and was challenged and encouraged to have a go. So after working for a couple of years as a social worker, I quit and started doing MTS at the University of New South Wales. It was a long time ago, back in 1989, and back then it was still evolving, and it looked a bit different to today, but I learnt so much about ministry and about myself, including my strengths and weaknesses. I learnt to trust God's powerful and active word in the lives of those I was ministering to, as well as in my own. We were also taught that a wife can double or halve her husband's ministry. Now, I don't want to claim that I've doubled Dave's ministry, but I have seen how a wife can cripple her husband's ministry or just limit it, as well as how she can enhance it. So who can do this? Who can be a pastor's wife? I think any kind of wife can be a pastor's wife. There are no rules about what particular ministry gifts or skills you need to be a pastor's wife. If you're passionate about the gospel and want to see people saved and grow and want to help your husband with that, you can be a pastor's wife. Your main job is to champion your husband. You're his helper. Work out how to do that with all your strengths and gifts. Encourage your husband. Listen to him. Pray with him. Ask him how you can best help. So if you want to be a pastor's wife, or you think it's likely that you might be a pastor's wife, don't be tempted to think that an apprenticeship is not for you. It would be an awesome opportunity. You could do a ministry apprenticeship with your husband. Dave and I overlapped our apprenticeship for a year. This way you learn how, on the job, how you do ministry together. Or you could do your apprenticeships at different times. That may work better for you. I've seen both scenarios work out well for the couples that Dave trained. While working for AFES in Geelong for 12 years, prior to doing this church plant, Dave trained 3 different couples. 2 did their apprenticeships at the same time, at different times, and 1 couple did their apprenticeships together. Dave was the trainer of both the men and the women, but I was the mentor for the women. I loved this role and I loved these women. I got to see them grow in confidence that God could and does work through them, and to grow in their trust of Him. 2 of the guys are now pastors, and the 3rd is doing uni ministry, and their wives are serving faithfully beside them while they raise their kids together. I know that during their apprenticeship they learnt much about being a wife and serving God, and will keep looking now for how God can use them as they keep serving together with their husbands. So I'm glad you're thinking about this. So keep thinking, keep praying, keep talking and listening, and trusting that God will make it clear to you what the right next step is for you.